Welcome to the Ascend Growth AI podcast, where we mix smart growth moves with a little AI magic. I'm Teresa. Let's dive in. Today, I'm honored to be joined by Jania Bailey, CEO of FranNet, a leader who's helped shape the franchise consultant and brokerage industry as we know it today. Jania, I'm so honored that you're here. Thank you for joining me.
Well, I'm happy to be here with you, Teresa. I'm looking forward to this.
Can you share a little bit about your background and how you became CEO of FranNet?
I started my work career as a secretary at a bank in Paducah, Kentucky. I came up through the bank when I left 10 years later, 10 and a half years later. I was vice president of commercial lending. I went from that small bank in Paducah to another bank in Louisville, where I spent an additional 8 to 9 years in the industry. After I left banking, I did public speaking and consulting for about 2.5 years. I had my own little company. One of my clients was a franchisor in the hair care industry. I ran a 5-region organization for them for about 7 years. Then I went to work for corporate, and corporate sent me to Texas to do a turnaround on a troubled region. 2.5 years there, and that's where I was when the opportunity to join FranNet came up. 19 years later, I'm still in the same seat, so I guess it worked out for a very good reason.
Wow, that's amazing. And for those of you who doesn't know FranNet, can you explain what they do?
Sure. For those not in the franchise industry, I always explain FranNet acts like a job recruiter in the corporate world or a headhunter. We have franchisors that have engaged us to help them find new franchisees. As we're working with clients, we're deciding which of our franchisors, if any, they might be a good fit for. And then we introduce those people to our franchisors and continue the process. We stay very involved with that client on a weekly basis until they reach a yes or a no. Like job recruiters, we don't get paid unless a placement is made.
Yeah, I can say that's very valuable. I actually used a franchise consultant myself when I was choosing. Before I did that, it was very overwhelming to see how many franchises there were out there. I had no idea who to go to.
Yes.
There's a lot of value in this for those who want to go into franchising.
What I've seen through the years is a lot of people that aren't successful in franchising, they've typically picked a franchise just, oh, I've seen that and I like that product or that service and I see that they're busy, so I'm going to do it. And it's totally not the right fit for them. It's not the right fit for their skill sets, for their budgets, for what they enjoy doing on a day-to-day basis. What we do is re-engineer it. Don't even talk about the names. Let's talk about what you want in a business and go through a very extensive process of getting into your head, your heart, and really figuring out what's going to work for you. A lot of great opportunities out there, but they may not be great for you. To find those made exactly for our client.
That makes sense. And then if you were to describe your clients, who's your ideal client right now?
Ideal client. Someone serious about getting into business and willing to dedicate the time, because it's a timely process. You've got to review franchise disclosure documents and make validation calls to the various people in the organization so you can get a real feel for what it's like to be an owner. It takes time and a commitment. The other thing is, if there is a partner and spouse, you need to be sure they're on board. We need that early on, because it's frustrating when you get all the way through the process and find out the spouse is not in all approve of it and has already put that on the back burner. So those are the things that make an ideal candidate: someone who's serious, willing to spend the time, and has their spouse or partner on board and approving of the idea.
When people reach out to you, do they typically know what franchises are? Because usually people think franchise, they think McDonald's, right? Is there a lot of education that you have to do?
We've been in this business 38 years, and educating the general public and our clients is the biggest part of what we do. Because you're right, people think McDonald's, they think $1 million+ and go, I can't afford that. When in fact, there are over 4,000 concepts. And yes, there are $1 million concepts, but there's also $50,000 concepts. So it's all the range that is available. We had a book published that was more than French fries because there's so much more than fast food. And we do have to educate them.
Would you consider the franchisors your customers?
Oh, yes. We've got some franchisor partners that have been with us. For example, Great Clips has been with us for 20 plus years. Also, Express Personnel. These are strong relationships because we've helped them grow, and they will tell you that our clients are some of their best franchisees because of our very thorough due diligence process. They're the ones that pay us.
When you have an agreement with them, are you guys exclusive franchise consultants, or do they also work with other franchise consultants?
FranNet is a franchisor, so that is the difference. Some of the others are memberships, so they can do whatever they want to. Ours are franchisees. So now the brands we work with, our franchisor partners, do not have an exclusive because they wouldn't want us to be exclusive with them. It's got to work both ways. But our FranNetters, yes, there is a barrier that they work with FranNet only.
Got it. So you're not only a franchise consultant, but you're also a franchisor yourself.
We're a franchisor that helps potential franchisees get placed with franchisors.
So today our theme is modern franchise leadership, evolving beyond the playbook. How do you think the role of franchise executives has changed in recent years?
We all have to be more technology savvy than we did 19 years ago when I took this job. That has become a huge part of the industry for any company in franchising or otherwise. I don't have to be a technology guru, but I need to be sure I've got the right people in my organization that can fill that need. We have to be much more multitask focused than before. There's a ton more competition in our segment. The actual franchise brokers, there used to be like 100, and now there's multiples. And it has grown so fast, it's a little scary. And it's a little unnerving to think that people are coming in so fast and maybe don't have the experience and don't have the background, that don't have the integrity that is needed in this role.
Right. While franchise brokers are growing, I would assume there's a lot more franchisors as well, right?
The number of franchisors from one year to the next does not change dramatically. You may have 100 new franchisors come in, but you'll probably have 100 go out because not all franchisors that start up make it. And that's another thing you have to be aware of. Just because it is a franchisor does not mean it's going to be successful or a safe investment. So that's why so much due diligence needs to be done. I tell people FranNet turns down over 100 franchises a year. We don't want franchises in our portfolio that aren't ready, that aren't underpinned, that don't have sufficient working capital. We want franchisors that have the highest percentage chance of being successful for our clients.
Do they have to have a certain number of years operating? Because there could be some new ones that are growing really fast.
There are.
Yeah.
We talk about proof of concept, and that can be in a year and that can be 5 years. It depends on the franchisor. And what we mean by proof of concept, Teresa, is that there's more than the anchor store or location. The franchisor typically has their own business and now they've franchised it. I need to see that it's successful for other people in other areas that aren't tied to that person and location. Because running a business in New York is very different than running one in Kentucky, Florida, or California. So is that concept truly set up to be successful in different markets with different people in their backgrounds?
How about market forces like inflation, labor challenges? Are they pushing franchise brands to rethink their strategies?
Franchising overall has ridden the waves for many, many years. You know, we made it through COVID. We've made it, all the franchisors, you know, most of us made it through different economic ups and downs. If a franchisor is structured properly, they can withstand the highs and lows, but you have to be prepared. I've been in this business, 19 with FranNet, 8 with another concept, so well over 25 years, and I've seen a lot of high unemployment, low unemployment, higher interest rates, which we're dealing with now, and much lower interest rates. Gotta be able to sustain all of that. I will tell you, franchising tends to have more interest from people during high unemployment, because if you've got a great job paying you really well, great benefits, it might be hard to envision owning a business and how much better that'll be. If you're afraid of being downsized, right sized, re-engineered, or that's already happened to you, you're going to be a lot more open to think about buying a franchise.
Yeah, that's true. If it doesn't require a lot of capital.
The things that have to be matched up are your budget, your skill sets, your interest level, and what you enjoy doing.
Are you giving different advice to potential franchisees today versus maybe 5 to 10 years ago?
Well, of course, I don't work directly with the clients, but we as a company train on this. And at the end of the day, the decision has to be the client's. We are one to educate them and to make introductions. We published something about 7, 8 years ago called a Client Bill of Rights, and we give that to every client. It really spells out what their role is. Our role is not to say, hey, Therese, this would be really good for you. No. That would make us a salesperson. Ours is to give you the sort through it and come back and say yes or no on each of those brands. I think that's where there's a lot of misunderstanding. Franchise consultants, brokers, referral networks, whatever people decide to call us, we're not supposed to be in the sales process. We are part of the sales activity, as if we're really lead generators. So we're like a marketing expense to the franchisor. But the minute someone in this industry crosses that line and starts really encouraging you to buy something, they've crossed a line they should not have.
I see. I can see a lot of franchisors doing that, though, right? They're just trying to grow their brand as much as possible.
Oh, you can expect that from them. You should not get that from your consultant. Your consultant should be consulting you, giving you information about the industry, what's going on economically that's impacting, what's worked well in your market, what hasn't, that sort of thing. But the minute they start leaning you towards something, they've crossed a barrier.
And that's even more a reason for a potential franchisee to work with a consultant, right? Because you're not pushing one way or the other.
And if you're working with one that is, run for your life and find one that won't.
What are you most proud of at FranNet right now?
Our reputation is consistently one of the top in the industry for integrity, for doing the right thing for our clients and the franchisors. And that is something we will continue to build. If people don't meet our qualification needs in those areas, they don't need to come to FranNet.
What are some challenges you're navigating now as a CEO?
Having so many competitors obviously is a challenge. And, the unfortunate thing is most candidates won't know the difference. They'll wind up with one broker group or the other and maybe not even know there's more than one. It's not like car dealerships. You go look at these different ones and compare. People aren't even aware there's different offerings and maybe they should be consulted.
And that's true. I can testify to that from my experience too. I found my franchise consultant by listening to Spotify. I found there's maybe 2 or 3 people who had podcasts. I started listening to them a lot, and that's who I ended up working with. What KPIs or metrics do you find most critical to monitor on a weekly or a monthly basis?
If I am one of my franchisees, these are the things they need to be looking at, is the lead flow, where it's coming from, what are they paying per lead, and then looking at how the lead progresses. Leads to appointments, appointments to referrals to franchisors, and from referrals to franchisors to closed placements. And you need to track that on every single lead source you have. Make sure you're investing your money the right way. Having a lot of leads is kind of enticing, but if they're all long shots and unqualified, it's just busy work. And none of us have the time to spend that way. So we really encourage our people to track and measure where they're getting their leads. Be sure you're focusing on those of the highest quality.
How do they currently get leads now?
Any number of ways. And since all of us are out here looking for that magic bullet, I'm not going to share what's working best for us.
That's smart. I was going to ask, how do you currently, I guess the way that your franchisees get leads, is that, and whatever magic secret that is it the same the way you find new franchisees?
It's obviously a different message. And sometimes I get people on my ads or reach outs that think that I'm a FranNet consultant, and I wind up handing them off to my consultants, and that's okay. But it's a hard thing to differentiate from my standpoint. People are much more plugged into franchise consultants help me find a franchise versus, hey, would you like to be a franchise consultant?
I was going to ask you, when people come to you, are they already knowing they want to be a consultant? Or after education, they realize they want to become?
Some of both. I had a call today. Guys like, I've always known this was something I wanted to do when I was financially in a position to do it. And I have other people that are like, I didn't even know there was such an opportunity. So just like franchising, there's people out there that know about us and there's people that are clueless.
Do you see the franchise industry evolving in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think we will continue to evolve. I mean, that's why franchising has been around as long as it has, because it's been very quick on its feet to make the changes needed to stay current. That can be new brands, new concepts that haven't even been thought up yet, to some of the tried and true making changes within themselves to stay current. For anybody in franchising, I really encourage you to be a part of the International Franchise Association, because that's where you get the insight on what's going on our industry. And I always say, if you're in franchising and you're not plugged into the IFA, you're not really in the industry. And you need that, because during COVID, the IFA really helped rally all the franchisors about what should we be telling our franchisees. And they helped put together so much information that any one franchisor might have been really overwhelmed. It was the constant webinars, it was the constant information being pushed out that helped a lot of franchisors, and especially franchisees, survive those years.
Yeah, someone told me to sign up for that, so that's something I'm going to do very soon. Where would you like FranNet to be in the next 6 to 12 months?
I want to bring in some new people. I've got a couple, I've got numbers in my head for that, because we are a 38-year-old company. I've had some people retire out, and it was just time. So I need to get some fresh new people with energy. Age isn't the factor, it's the energy factor I look for, and the interest and commitment factor. Trying to find those needles in the haystack is what I have to do. I want to grow the company, want to grow it smartly. We will not compromise our core values to bring in people.
And when you say grow, bring in new people, that's directly on your corporate team and then also new franchisees as well?
New franchisees. Our corporate team is really pretty well, manned right now. If we were to double the size of the company, we would need to hire more people. But our team is set up well to manage the growth that we have in mind.
How many franchisees do you currently have?
We've got about 60 right now.
Okay. I guess in the next 6 to 12 months, you want to grow that to...
Yeah, just more. And, we're in the U.S. pretty much in every state. I mean, there's some states we're not in, but for the majority of them, all the major metros were covered. And our people are not limited by territory, so they can work all over the U.S. If they're in an area hit by a recession or factory shutting down, they don't have to just market there. They can market in other areas. Mm-hmm. So all of our people can work throughout the U.S. And we have a nice group of people in Canada as well. So good longevity up there, great reputation up there as well.
Okay, no, that's great. Do you use AI in FranNet right now?
Yes. Each of our departments have found, and that's been a challenge to them, is, find ways you can use this to make your job easier. And we're seeing it being, our people are very creative, and they're coming up with lots of different already established programs they can use, as well as just using AI to help set up some tables or different things they can use it for.
If you could give your younger self a piece of advice of leadership, what would that be?
Don't worry so much. Not everybody's going to like you. You have to keep in mind what's best for the company at all times. You do not work for any one individual. You work for the organization. Back in my banking days, there was a senior VP in the bank causing a lot of turmoil, trying to divide us. My bank president called me in one day and he said, I don't need to know any of the details. He said, just remember who you work for. And that stuck with me. He said, you work for the board of directors. You work for the stockholders. You do not work for any one person. And I think that's something we all have to remember, where our North Star needs to be, who we work for, who we're serving. And for franchise, it's your franchisees as well as your shareholders, and you have to balance that.
What guidance would you give to someone, especially a woman, who wants to become CEO in the franchise space?
It's very possible. I just talked to someone yesterday that was older generation, and we were talking about how hard it was for women at one time. There's been enough of us that have paved the way now, and there's many examples to see. Mine is a minor one compared to major organizations. There's no reason we can't do anything we want to do if we put our minds to it. We limit ourselves. And the minute we think, well, they're not going to consider me because I'm a woman, you're right. You've already ruled yourself out. Get your head trash out of the way. Work hard. Keep raising your hand and asking for opportunities, and the sky's the limit. When we start thinking, oh, poor me, I'm a woman, get over it. We're as capable as any male or any other person. Just give yourself the opportunity by believing in yourself.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes we put our own self-limitations on us for no reason. So.
Exactly. How many years ago? 40 years ago, 35 years ago, I became a big proponent of setting personal goals. One of the books I was reading was like, before you hit one goal, already have the next one set. It's amazing once you set that first goal, how focused you are on it. And then as you almost got there, go ahead and bump it up to the next one, because you don't want to say, oh, okay, I made my goal, I'm done. For me, it was going from a secretary at a bank to what was the original one? Real estate processor, to a installment lender, to a commercial lender, to a VP of commercial loans. When I left the industry overall, I was a vice president of commercial loans and also overseeing cash management. I'm so glad she didn't get stuck there and just say, I'm just a secretary.
Do you see a point in your life when you go through that journey, which has been amazing, like when you made, was there a key decision or a key moment that really changed the trajectory of your career?
The big one was being willing to leave my hometown. I was raised in a small town in Kentucky, Paducah, and for the most part, people didn't leave Paducah. I'm the first one out of my family that left Paducah. But I also know I could have never accomplished what I have in my career if I'd have stayed in Paducah, because it was limited. And, sometimes we limit ourselves by our locations as well as our head trash. I was the first woman commercial loan officer in Western Kentucky, and I was the youngest vice president that bank ever had. So you can see, okay, so I broke through those. Now what? And also the smaller towns are going to be limited on the income because cost of living is less. So just be careful that decisions you're making don't put you in those limitations.
I can resonate with that. That's great advice. Thank you so much. And if listeners connect with you and learn more about FranNet, where can they go?
Well, our website is frannet.com, and FranNet is 2 N's. And my email address is jbailey@frannet.com. You can always connect with me on LinkedIn. I accept all invitations.
Okay, I'm going to send you an invitation. Thank you so much, Jan. I really enjoyed your conversation. It was great to learn from you as I'm starting my franchise and also just as a leader in general. So thank you so much. That's a wrap for today's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone navigating their franchise journey, and don't forget to hit subscribe for more insights. Catch you next time on the Ascend Growth AI podcast.